Welcome to Monday. It's Dan and Mike together again after a long weekend and a short work week last week. We managed to make it through, though.
That was needed because it picked up on the weekend.
Yes, it did, certainly. Speaking of the weekend, we got a lot of things that we'll review, and we had some big-time stuff happen over the weekend in that regard. So we'll talk more about that for you coming up here shortly. Also, a look at the news of the day, some topics of discussion that we'll share with you, and this date in history is golden.
Literally.
We'll explain all just ahead on today's program. Thank you for tuning in. If you've never watched our show before, we have this daily show that we do. It's also available on YouTube as well as our Facebook page. You can follow us on Twitter. That's where you see a lot of the sports updates that Mike's been doing throughout the school seasons, and that's going to probably slow down a little bit, I would think, now with only baseball left for state championships, right?
That's correct. But the American Legion just started over the weekend.
Oh, that's right. So Mike has something to do all year long.
And there's this team called the Paints out there.
There is. So that and more all available on our Twitter channel. You know, one thing I forgot to do today was put together our weather forecast. So we won't have that to show you here on screen, but you can go to littermedia.com and you'll see a radar shot there. Click on that and you'll be able to see what we're talking about weather-wise.
Just think sunny thoughts and you'll see the picture.
And we've had a lot of sunny thoughts here the last, 7 or 8 days?
Yeah. Last
time we've had some serious rain. It's been a while. So what's ahead for this week?
Actually, probably a little bit more comfortable today. Yeah. Sunny skies mixed with some clouds, but a high of 81, although I saw one model that said 79 for our area. But more of the same tomorrow, clouds, not much talk of rain, and a high of 83. So we were up around 90 the last couple of days of the week and into the weekend. We're about 10 degrees cooler here over the next few days.
It was indeed steamy over the weekend.
And we finally got a little rain in Frankfort.
Good for you.
About 1/8 of an inch. We were thankful for what little we got.
Thank you, Lord, for that.
Yes,
now
sir.
Mike will stop complaining about his crunchy grass.
Well, it's brown still, Lord, but we'll take what we can get.
He's still complaining, Lord.
Some things the Lord says just won't change.
Yeah, that's right. All right, coming up, we'll have all that for you and more. But first, a word or two from our sponsors, including Scioto Valley Dumpsters. If you have a cleanup job that needs to be done and you need a dumpster, well, give them a call. And you can ask them about their demolition services as well. If you click on this ad anywhere you see it at littermedia.com, it takes you to their Facebook page. We shared over the weekend, they had some rate information they shared. So you can find that here on our Facebook page, or you can go right to Scioto Valley Dumpsters Facebook page for more details, or give Carl a call at 740-253-8389. Tell him Dan and Mike sent you.
Whenever I first applied for the Archways opportunity, do I have to pay this back? Do I have to do that? Like, is it a loan? And it's not. It's a scholarship. A goal of mine is to graduate college debt-free. If you're a crew member, you get $2,500 a year, and if you're a manager, you get $3,000. And especially if you're going locally to college, like to the branch or something like that, it's really helpful.
You haven't had vodka soda like this. No one has. Made with the world's smoothest vodka plus real juice. New White Claw Vodka Soda.
It is time to take a look at the things that are making news for us today across the Scioto Valley. And we're starting up in Pickaway County, though, right?
Yeah, this is the assignment that took you out of the studio on Friday up in Canal Park.
Went up to Canal Park to check out the new playground that they put in. And you see there were kids already climbing and playing and zip lining and everything else. And there's Tom Davis. He's the director of the Pickaway County Park District. And we had the opportunity to talk about all of these things that are changing in this canal. And he says we're not done.
You mentioned that this isn't finished. You've
Yes.
got more to do.
Yes, we do. There's some, we need more gravel.
We have one play structure you might see over there that's got orange fence on it. We need to repair some of the wood that was on that. We have to bury it in the ground. We had our playground safety inspector here yesterday, and he suggested we do that. So we just closed that net for today. Other than that, the playground is pretty much done. We'll add some benches and some more chairs and some picnic tables for the parents to be able to sit down while their kids are playing.
These kids were in the 4th grade just a few short years ago.
Yes, they were.
Yeah. What was it like to put this all together?
It was a very inspirational project, especially to allow them to see it come to life today. They had lots of great ideas. We did lots of research. They kind of just came up with wonderful ideas that I never even thought of.
Who had the idea for the zip line?
I think it was probably all of us. Yeah, most of the boys, because we thought it'd be fun.
So what did it take to do the research and come up with ideas for this playground?
We kind of just searched up all kinds of different parks and saw all kinds of different ideas, and like we all saw a whole bunch of zip lines in almost every picture we saw. So we got the idea just to do a zip line.
Yeah.
Rock walls, a bunch of rock walls.
What's it feel like to see it all come to fruition? It's right here in front of you now.
It's crazy.
It's exciting. Yeah.
It's fun.
What was the first thing you wanted to do when you got here?
Zip line.
So play.
And of course, this is open to the public, available now. And of course, if you want to learn more about it, just go to our YouTube channel. You can see more about what they had to say and hear more what they had to say as well, all in the Pickaway County Park District in Canal Park.
I'm kind of bummed out. I noticed on the opening scene the sign that had the age requirement. I've aged out. I wanted to get on the zip line. Yeah, the missus and I, we go by that area quite often.
And this, I'm a Pickaway County native. I never knew this place existed.
Yeah,
and drove down the canal and everything. It was eye-opening for me.
Yeah, a lot of history right there. Again, another sign of history right in our backyard. The Chillicothe Neighborhood Traffic Calming Program has entered the 3rd and final phase, with temporary pop-up demonstrations being installed in targeted areas. Now, the program seeks to develop long-term solutions through public input, data collection, targeted traffic enforcement, and temporary road or traffic pattern changes. The initial target areas include Watt Street, Yaktangi Park, Pyatt, and Allen Avenues. Please be advised of an on-campus road parking lot closure at the Chillicothe VA Medical Center tomorrow through June the 27th. That you can see the map, what all areas will be affected, and you might even run into some of those scenarios going out to the paints game. I know last year when I was out there for some of the high school regionals, they still had roads that you could get to the ballpark, but it was a little bit different detour than what you might have been used to.
But the red is where it's closed, and that is around the hospital, it looks
Correct.
like. Okay.
Yeah. So if you're out there to visit, you might be more inclined to run into some of those situations. I was out at the Pump House Friday after the show for another interview that you'll see later this week. But we came across this almost by accident. It is a piece of driftwood that Chillicothe and Chris Beverly had found several years ago and donated a couple of weeks ago to the Pump House. And he said, he told John Payne, who was telling me this story, when he found it, Chris was just going through a very dark place in his life, and he said, this, quote, saved my life. And as you can see, it's illuminated by artificial lighting on this piece of driftwood, which is huge. It's probably about 3 or 4 feet long. There is a part of it that looks like Christ on the cross, and right next to it, a crane. And when we posted this picture, there was a lady that thought that had been created. Well, not by Chris. That was just the way it was found, which was so life-changing for him. But that is on display in the upstairs gallery right now at the Pump House Center for the Arts.
How much do you suppose that weighs?
Oh, my. When they first told me about it, I didn't know what. I just thought it was like a board or something like that.
Yeah.
And when I went up there and I saw that, it's kind of like something you'd see at the ocean sometimes that, drifts up. But golly, when Chris pulled that out of the water several years ago, that had to have been a task.
Yeah.
Because it has to weigh probably, 40, 50 pounds. So, but yeah, check that out at the Pump House Center for the Arts. Ohio University Chillicothe will host a community conversation this Wednesday at Stevenson Center between 9 and 3. Workforce, education, and government entities are working together to understand our community and building the bridges to a stronger society in Ross County and Southern Ohio. This includes the program Bridges Out of Poverty, which is facilitated by Renee Parsons. But just use the QR code there to find out more information. It's a free event, but they still need to know that you have intentions of coming. And there are some credits, some what are called CEU credits for those of you in social work that you can have applied just by attending. Ohio is participating in the State Digital Equity Planning Grant Program, a federally funded grant to develop a statewide plan for achieving digital equity goals and closing the digital divide. Ohio's Digital Equity Plan will serve all Ohioans with an aim to promote meaningful adoption and use of high-speed internet service with a special emphasis on key popular. Where was this for Dan Ramey in Pike County 15 years ago when you were crying all the time about not having – you had dial-up, right?
I had BrightNet dial-up for 21 years.
Yeah, really.
And then satellite internet.
But now you're okay.
We finally got the broadband 2 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's that old saying? Better late than never. But there was some times that you probably thought, well, I don't know about that.
Well, there were other times living down by Pike Lake, you don't mind being unplugged from everything.
Yeah, exactly. I understand that too. Also, the Ross County Sheriff's Office annual Dare Night at the Paints. That's tomorrow night at VA Memorial Stadium. Admission is free to all Dare students who are wearing their Dare T-shirt. Gates open at 6:05. Now, kids can come and pay the regular admission, but if you're a Dare member, wear your T-shirt and you get in free. Game time tomorrow night is at 7:05. Our road report over in Highland County. Beginning today, work starts on a project that will replace 3 culverts on State Route 138 between Rittenhouse Road and Lucas Road. Route 138 will be closed for 5 days for this construction. During the closure, separate detours will be established for eastbound and westbound traffic. Again, that starts today in neighboring Highland County.
You know, I failed to mention that. Probably should have said this, the kids who get in for the Dare Night, it's their school's out party, and you wear the Dare shirt, you get in free, that kind of thing and all. But they also have free hot dog, chips, and I believe a Pepsi product as well. So,
speaking of the paints, did you see this, that they're getting rid of old picnic tables on the deck today?
Yeah, I saw that today. You have to pick them up between 2 and 6
p.m. 7 p.m.
Okay, so and you can't do it before, you can't do it after. So 2 to 7 p.m. I don't know if Dan Jr. drove his pickup truck today or not.
You need a picnic table. Head on out to Paint Stadium this afternoon.
So I assume they're replacing their picnic tables.
That's kind of what I assume, yeah. So, I don't think they're getting rid of the party decks.
Either that or the party decks become standing room only. I don't think that's the case.
Yeah.
I do not think so. All right, coming up, we'll take a look at sports. Paints had a doubleheader yesterday. They had a 4-game winning streak going into yesterday's stuff, too. So we'll talk about all that and more coming up. But first, let's tell you about Accurate Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing, your trusted comfort advisor. If you're not comfortable in your home because of the air or the water, make sure you give them a call. Or click on this ad anywhere you see it at littermedia.com. It takes you right to their website where you can learn more about the services and the comfort at Accurate Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing.
Budweiser beer, the king is second.
Who drinks Budweiser? You know the type. The people who grind. Those who don't back down. And the ones who don't quit. They say all people are 6 degrees of separation away from each other. But some are just a six-pack away. The people who share the same spirit, share the same beer. This Bud's for you.
I always think of David Carradine when I hear about Grasshopper. So,
yeah.
Thank you for joining us. If you're just now tuning in, Sports Time with Mike Smith,
better known as Kwai Chang Caine. Remember the
now
name?
That I don't remember.
On the TV show?
I would not remember.
We
that.
religiously watched Kung Fu.
Kung Fu,
yeah.
I just remember the high karate aftershave. I remember that. So
yeah, very good.
Is it still around? You still wear it?
I don't think I ever wore high karate. To say that it was a busy weekend in sports is to put it mildly.
Yes.
And we had some big stories to tell you in the various sports, including state track. Lancaster, they were the third place team in Division I with 28 points, just 7 back. A kind of neat thing in the pole vault, they had the state champ and third place finisher there. But, 28 points altogether for Lancaster to finish third in the state meet. That's pretty good doings. But a lot of the talk was behind this guy, Cole Miller, and the Paint Valley Bearcats. He himself, 30 points to help the Bearcats have a co-runner-up. Second place, they had 30 points. The winner had 38, so they were just 8 off the pace of being the state champs. But he won the long jump, the 100 and 200, all in school record times. That's his coach, Kai Pulliam, standing next to him. And those two are scheduled to be with us live for a special edition at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Yeah, I remember back when Megan Osborne was winning all of those track meets at Chillicothe. This is what would happen on a regular night for a regular meet. Right. She would get like 40 points for all of the runnings she was doing. But at the state level, it's almost unheard of.
Yeah. Yeah, what a incredible performance by Cole. And the thing about this, you folks may or may not remember, he missed the football season because he broke his ankle.
Yeah.
But got healed up. He was back for basketball, and then what a performance.
And what a cool kid, too.
Oh, yeah.
He's a really nice guy.
We have been scouring some of the records over the weekend, some other track coaches. This may be a first for an SVC athlete at the state meet. Still digging into that information. Hopefully we'll have more tomorrow.
I like Dave Shoemaker's post yesterday when he says he's a lock in 5 years to be in the Paint Valley Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I'd say. I wouldn't even wait to 5 years. Let's just
waive that.
Yeah, but make sure you're tuned in at 10 tomorrow morning with Cole and Coach Kai, as they'll be here for a special edition of Litter Media Live. There was dozens of other area athletes also that had you had to be in the top 8 to score points, and we had a number of athletes, including Dylan Chittum of Bloom Carroll. He was a state champ. We had a state champ, Dustin Moore from Lucasville Valley. Just a lot of area athletes did very well at the state meet over the weekend. Talk about local athletes that did well. How about these ladies? Second year in a row, Waylersburg softball wins the state championship, 32-0. They have lost only one game in the last 2 years. That's their head coach on the far left, Teresa Ruby. She is a legend. She had a state champion team at Berg back in 2016. And the thing about this squad, There's only 2 seniors in the lineup. In the starting lineup, only 2 seniors.
And this bunch is still part of the bunch that won the World
Yes.
Series championship for girls softball.
Yeah, it was considered the Little League Softball World Championship several years back.
Now, is Coach Ruby related to Pete Ruby?
You know, I don't know.
Pete's a Wheelersburg boy, right?
Yeah, I don't know if I asked Pete that once before, or if I asked Teresa, and I can't remember what the answer was on that.
I know the Rubies at Minford, they're cousins, I believe it is. So.
And one other note, the one of the 2 seniors that'll be leaving the squad is Macy Eaton. She signed last year to play college softball at the University of Virginia. So she was already a lock. But congratulations to the Lady Pirates on their 2nd straight state championship. Switching over into baseball, Washington Courthouse on Friday night won the regional baseball crown, first since 2000 when they won the state championship that year. 10-0 winner over Cambridge and a combined no-hitter for Will Miller and A.J. Dahlmeyer. The Blue Lions will face Ontario in the state semis this Thursday at 1 p.m. in Akron. That's Rubber Duck Stadium at Canal Park, not to be confused with Canal Park in Pickaway County. Wheelersburg was also in action in baseball. They had a 7-0 lead and lost to Harrison Central 8-7 in Division III. And Highland blanked White Oak. That was a battle of number 1 and number 2 in Division IV, but Highland, they are tough. 8-0 winners to get on to the state tournament.
Does Ernie from Sesame Street sing Rubber Ducky?
I don't know. I've never been to Rubber Duck Stadium, so we'll have to check that out. Of course, district baseball, all Ohio baseball teams had been announced.
And we don't have that. I apologize.
But over the weekend, the Mid-State League Buckeye finally released their all-league baseball and softball teams. That information is on our website at littermedia.com. You know, going to the barber can be very educational. And at my last barber's visit, I found out that Mike Adams had stepped aside as the boys' basketball coach at Southeastern. I texted Mike, and he confirmed that he, on his own volition, had stepped away from head coaching. So they're in the search process right now for a new head coach. Mike told me that in all he'd been coaching out there 17 years. You might remember he had a great program with the Lady Panthers. They won the SVC championship 3 times in a row. He was the coach of the year each of those 3 years and has been the boys coach over the last 5 seasons. Tays Valley grad Cam McDaniel, he just keeps racking up the honors. This at the Under-20 World Championship.
Santiago, Chile.
How about that?
And now he's off to Warsaw, Poland, I believe.
Yeah.
And will be competing in the world stage there for Team USA.
Team USA.
Here, I believe it was as Team Ohio representative, but it'll be Team USA.
Yeah, if you look at the plaque he's holding, that's shaped in the form of the United States. So that was the national championship from a few weeks back.
Now, let's throw in this little tidbit for you, too. He is making this trip to Poland during the Asheville 4th of July celebration. So he won't be able to participate much in the festivities there. He might be able to ride in a parade before he leaves. I don't know.
I wonder if they'll put the competition up on a big screen somewhere in Asheville during that event.
And that would be nice.
Yeah, that'd be great.
But there might be a 6-hour difference, too, so it might be one of those
depending on the time. That might be one of the more well-attended events.
Could be.
Yeah.
And then we'll show the fireworks.
Yeah, but we wish Cam the best in his trip overseas. Turning to baseball, the Paints win 7-0 in Game 1 of the doubleheader. I never did find out what they did in Game 2.
They won 4 straight. And then that 4th win was the 7-0 victory. Then they were blanked by Lafayette 5-0 in the nightcap.
I don't know if Brian decided to get rid of all the picnic tables after that loss or what. No, I'm sure that's not the case.
This will change things up, doggone it.
Yeah, we're just going to give a whole new look. Everybody thinks they're traded, and no, it's picnic tables. Yeah. Reds lose yesterday. Yeah, 5-1 to the Brewers. They've lost the first 3 games of that series, and kind of an unusual wrap-up to a 4-game series on a Monday night. They don't usually do that, but yes, they do play at home against Milwaukee at 7:10 tonight. News better for the Guardians. They finally get a win over the Twins, 2-1. That wrapped up that series. And probably the biggest story of the weekend was the Adina Worthingtons.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah. It was hot. My dashboard temperature gauge said 98 when we got into the car to come home.
And you've got a long sleeve shirt.
Long sleeve shirt,
and
yes.
a T-shirt under that.
This is vintage baseball, and this tree is in front of second base.
What's the X for?
Well, they have planned on removing this tree, which will help out greatly for this field. But this is Schiller Park, and the reason they play at this point, the Washington Senators played at Schiller Park on a not the Washington Senators that we're talking like 1900 something. But at any rate, they played a game in Columbus. This is the site where they played on. But we had to maneuver around those trees. We had never had a situation like this. Of course, up at Adina Mansion and Gardens, where we'll play this coming Sunday, we have an open field. And we can concern ourselves with one little park bench. But here's the guys we scurried up together. There's Mike Throne, Dan Jr., that is Eric Cox, and then we called him Mr. 11th Hour. That is John Bruce, who we recruited late. This is one of the best backstops you'll ever find. They call him the Behind. That's what he
has
catcher.
The most professional look, just that little nod.
Brenton Davidson, and Tyler DePue is our bull in a china shop. And we upgraded him. He transitioned from bat boy to player this year, little Walker Throne. That is Mike Throne's son. But we had never given up 35 runs before, and it happened Sunday.
So when are you bringing the ringers in?
That's this weekend.
Okay, and we've already announced who they are.
Well,
right?
It depends on when they show up.
Oh, okay. So if I said their name, that would be like putting a guilt trip on.
We'll announce the lineup later in the week to make sure they're all here.
By the way, he conveniently omitted that Dan was the starting pitcher.
Yeah. And only one earned run, by the way, and that was the first batter hit a home run off of me. And then the rest was we just couldn't field the ball.
Gotcha. There was another kind of ball going on yesterday in Ohio, and not too far from where you guys were, up at Muirfield Village. Victor Hovland handled the toughest stretch in a playoff as he wins over Denny McCarthy. Muirfield Village. No rain. I don't think they had any rain delays that I'm aware of.
No, not that I'm aware of either.
Because the state track meet had about a 2-hour lightning delay Saturday, but I don't know that I heard anything about the memorial being delayed.
I don't think there was anything like that. But I will tell you they had probably as many trees as we had in Schiller Park out at Muirfield Village. It was amazing. This is the game ball, and Corn Dog is what they call him, Michael Cornelis. He is the captain for the German Village 9. And I told him, I said, normally the winning team gets the game ball. And he says, but you guys drove all that way. And we also pounded
Hold it up against my black shirt. See if it didn't do any better. No. But the seams on the ball a little bit different than you'd find on a modern day baseball.
I'll walk it up to the camera.
Get up a little close. It's got like a little break in the seam and a couple of points on the ball. Actually, just 1 point on the ball there. There's where it starts, and here's where it ends. Yeah. And it's almost as hard as a regulation baseball.
Yeah. And this one in particular is a little softer. There's one that they play with that's even softer that the Muffins use when they have like a short porch area.
That's where Dan's ERA gets better.
Yeah. The
rag ball they throw out there.
The ball that they use on the State House lawn because they don't want to break the windows in the State House because the Muffins always play an old-fashioned game there against some of the representatives and senators.
I would think that you should hold out for that. That'd be neat to play on the State House lawn like that.
Maybe I could pull some weight with Bob Peterson and Mark Johnson.
Mark Johnson. Mark, if you're watching, see what you can do to get the Worthingtons up there for a
that'd be cool
homestand. Maybe a doubleheader.
That'd be cool too.
You could play the Muffins one game, and then they could play the Legislators in a game.
I will tell you that the first time I ever played in a game like this was the first year of the Feast of the Flowering Moon. And the Muffins came down. Muffins had only been playing for 4 years at that time. And they came down for this event, and the ball that they had was like a tennis ball. And we were playing a Diamond 1 down in Yoctangi Park. Wow. And if you hit the ball out of the park, it was going to be an out, not a home run. And so I hit the ball. I mean, I laid into this ball like I'd never laid into one before. And it was soaring out of the park, and it got out to about where the left fielder was standing, and it just died. And what happened was the trajectory of the ball went from being round and stood up like this, kind of like when you see a dragster,
right?
And they hit the gas to start, and their tires stand up real tall. That's what the ball did, and it just changed everything. And of course, in this game, if the ball bounces, you can catch it on a bound for an out. So the ball bounces, and the guy makes one of the easiest catches you've ever seen in your life. And so that was the end of that.
On your Titanic blast, I was just picturing the baseball in the Bugs Bunny commercial. A screamer. As it's hitting out of the ballpark, Oh, my.
I did have a strikeout. I had 2 strikeouts.
Good.
And our behind, which is Brenton Davidson, that's what they call the position, he made a couple of great diving stabs. I think he had 5, maybe 6 putouts on his own.
Oh, wow.
Just by catching foul balls.
Yeah.
But they called it the Plinko defense. When that ball hit into the tree, it would be ding, 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 ding.
And you said one didn't even come out of the tree.
Right. That's why this ball came home with us. They gave us the replacement ball. And they said it'll probably fall down at some point in time.
Yeah.
So what we did, Walker Throne was running underneath the tree, standing there waiting for it. And I said, okay, it's not come down, everybody. So all 8 of us got around the tree waiting for the ball to fall, and it never did fall.
Never did fall.
So.
That wasn't the one with the X on it, was it?
No.
Okay.
This was the big tree.
Okay.
A really big tree. All right, coming up in just a moment, this date in history, the Litter Media Wayback Machine goes to
1933.
That is on the way next. But first, these words from our fine sponsors. We've got them, don't we? Yes,
right there.
There they are.
Hi, I'm Dave Pinkerton with Advanced Services Heating and Cooling, your local heating and cooling expert. If you want quality service, quality installation, give Advanced Services a call, 740-773-4499.
Archway of Opportunities is a scholarship program. It can include the crew members and it can include managers. The scholarship is $2,500 for crew members and it's $3,000 for managers. For my store alone, we've had $35,000 go out just in 1 year. And for all 7 of our stores, we had $66,000 in scholarship funds.
Find a career you love with Pickaway Ross Adult Education. Skilled trades careers are in high demand with no signs of slowing down. Pickaway Ross offers career training programs with expert instructors and hands-on learning tactics to create a variety of opportunities. Visit our website for more information.
For transportation options in Ross County, call Ross County Health District's Mobility Management Team, 740-779-9652.
At Rathkamp Financial, we provide wealth management services that may ease clients' fears of financial loss and help them retire comfortably. Our greatest satisfaction comes from working with clients for many years and helping them realize their dreams.
This is Andy Tomlinson. When ensuring what's important to you, our agents are there when you need us the most. Tomlinson Insurance, for the best coverage at the best cost. Visit us online at tomlinsonins.com to learn more.
Yeah. The things you don't hear during commercial breaks. Thank God. Yeah.
It's highly embarrassing if the microphone's left on, but sometimes when it's not left on, it's even more funny, I think, in some respect. Because we know what's going on. You don't know the inside joke.
Yeah.
So.
We'll leave it at that. 1933.
Oh, that's right. This date in history.
Yeah, the United States went off the gold standard, a monetary system in which currency is backed by gold, when Congress enacted a joint resolution nullifying the right of creditors to demand payment in gold. The U.S. had been on a gold standard since 1879, except for an embargo on gold exports during World War I, but bank failures during the Great Depression of the 1930s frightened the public into hoarding gold, making the policy unattainable. So every time you hear the Glenbecks and Judge, whatever his name was, used to be on Fox, telling you to go out and buy gold.
Napolitano.
Yeah, that's it. And what was the actor? The actor that's always on there.
Well, I remember G. Gordon Liddy doing it.
Yeah, he did it. But yeah, a lot of people say, buy gold, and then others are saying, well, okay, but they could do this thing that they did in the 30s, and then what do you got? So, yeah, so that's why we're no longer on the gold standard, 1933. But Fort Knox, for many years, was the place they stored all the gold.
According to the Gatlin brothers.
Yeah, and you had...
what was it, all the gold in California?
All the gold in California.
Yeah, stored in a bank.
Yeah, I think Johnny Bench, back in the day when the draft was still on, a lot of Major League Baseball players, since it was not a world war, but we were in Vietnam, they still had to serve reserve duty. And I can remember Johnny Bench and some of the other Cincinnati players reporting for reserve duty. So they had to miss, like 2 or 3 games. And I remember them always saying that Bench went to Fort Knox for his active duty. So I don't know if Johnny was guarding the gold or counting it or what he was doing down there, but yeah, he had gold gloves. Maybe that's where those gold gloves came from.
Maybe. He had big hands.
He did indeed.
Maybe.
How many hands of gold or bars of gold can you palm? Yeah.
Was it a dozen baseballs he could hold?
It wasn't quite that many, but it was several at least.
They put baseballs in between his fingers, so that'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you put a 5th one here probably.
Yeah,
and then you stacked.
And it wasn't just like they were piled like that. He could turn his hand over and still gripping all of those baseballs.
Big hands.
Yeah,
maybe they thought he could pick up those gold bars.
Yeah. Anytime I shook his hand, my elbow disappeared. Yeah. Oh, golly.
All right. Got a radio bit to wrap things up with?
I thought all day yesterday, I kept racking my brain trying to think of a radio bit, and it was just all blank. I don't think we've told them all yet. They just, most of what we come up with, it's like you'll say a word or something, and it'll jog a memory. Yeah.
Trigger something there for sure.
Trigger. I don't think we ever met. Did we ever interview Roy Rogers or Dale Evans?
No, but I will tell you.
You interviewed Trigger.
I did a feature on the Dogwood Pass, old western town it's out by Beaver. And if you've never been there before, you got to go. Take a trip down. It's in eastern Pike County, down by Beaver, like I said, and just follow the signs. Next thing you know, when you get there, you're stepping back into an Old West mining town. And in this mining town is a Roy Rogers Museum.
Oh, wow.
And they have a lot of things. I want to say there was a connection with someone in Portsmouth, and from the River Days, they had all this Roy Rogers stuff.
Yeah.
And it's all in this museum here in this old western town, including a big giant Indian headdress. There's pictures galore, and I can't remember if there's an actual trigger stand up or if it was a paper cutout. I can't remember. But there's a lot of cool stuff in there. So it's worth going just for that.
Now, Duck Run, is that in the Portsmouth area or is that down by Cincinnati? Because that's where he was supposedly from, Duck Run.
I'm going to guess Cincinnati because I think he was born near Cincinnati and ended up growing up in Portsmouth, if I remember correctly.
Isn't he part of the floodwall mural in Portsmouth? Is he part of it?
I can't say yes or no to that.
Yeah. It's been so long.
There are so many things on that flood
wall. Oh, I know.
That you can't remember it all. And then they expanded a couple of years later. And when I was last down there, they were painting something on the other side of the wall as well. And if you've never seen Portsmouth from the Kentucky side, there is a Portsmouth Wall of Fame, and it has all of these names on the outside of the flood wall. So unless you're coming across one of the bridges and see that, or you're on one of the barges or a boat, you don't really see it close enough to know what it says. But I was flying the drone down there one time, and I saw that. I'm like, hey, what is that? And I got a little closer, and I'm like, that's pretty cool.
We got to do a road trip down there sometime. I know where you'd go eat, but then we could get some pictures and maybe some drone footage of the wall and that sort of thing.
It sounds like a plan.
Yeah.
Let's do that tomorrow.
Okay. Cole, sorry. No, you come in. Yeah.
All right. That's it for the program today. Again, this will be available on our YouTube channel later this afternoon, but also on demand as soon as we get done and push stop to our live broadcast here on Facebook. So until tomorrow morning with a special edition of Litter Media Live featuring Cole Miller and Kai Pulliam, for the icon Mike Smith, you should have wore that shirt tomorrow. That's a Pain Valley shirt right there.
Well, I'll wash it up for you.
Please do. Because we can tell if he doesn't. We'll see you tomorrow here on another edition of Litter Media Live.